All right, here we are back again. BP Hero Podcast, Season 7, Episode number 31. Going to start off with our usual. We're going to ramble for a little bit. Got a few things I do want to talk about. And then from that, we're going to snowball into talking with our friend CJ. CJ Spink is a friend of mine. He's been on the podcast once. And we're going to have him back. This is his first year playing conference softball. So I'm curious to know what his thoughts are on stuff like swinging the 240s and the Pro-Ams. What's his gamer of choice? What's the experience like? Because I think that's something like we all have questions about unless we've been there, right? And then the big thing that I want to talk about is his B team beat Smash It Sports, the major team, at the Pocket City Duel in a wild one. The end of the game was crazy. Well, I don't want to spoil and elaborate too much. Obviously, if you follow much of the conference softball, you've probably already seen that. But if you haven't, it's fun to watch. Do we all, or have we all had aspiring dreams to be there? Sure, of course. I think every person that plays softball would be lying. Sorry, every person that plays softball in a tournament setting or even remotely competitively would be lying if they said they hadn't thought about what it would be like to be at that level or play at that level, or what would you be like at that level. And we've all been there. But to be there and do it, and then on top of all of that, to live through the experience of beating one of, no question, the best teams in the country, we want to hear about it. And CJ's going to tell us about it. But in the meantime, it's Rambletron session for about 20 minutes. CJ's going to join us at about 9:20 is what we had planned out. He said that was perfect. So that's what we went with. CJ's family man, out doing the family stuff tonight. Give him a little bit of time to get home, get settled in, and tell us his story. But in the meantime, how is everybody doing? If you played softball last weekend, how'd you do? If you got softball coming up this current weekend, how'd you do? Jason, how you doing, buddy? Also, I've been trying to be a little more active on social media in regards to I've been trying to be a little more active on social media in regards to just posting more often, like on Facebook and stuff. Sometimes it's not always all about constantly posting videos. It's about conversation starters. It's about asking questions and doing that kind of thing, and just kind of getting a feel for the room, right? And as a spinoff, it can also help kind of give us some topics and things we want to talk about, right? So that's been kind of fun. I've been trying to make a daily post. I kind of fell off there for a little bit, but that has been fun. Got another review coming soon. Then I'm going to try and smash out some Throwback Thursday action, hopefully for tomorrow. All kinds of good stuff coming. But we'll do the usual. If you're not familiar with the podcast, you could skip ahead to probably the 10-minute mark. We're just going to kind of chill out, BS for a few minutes, and let everybody kind of file in after they get their live notification. And then we'll get started, talk about just a couple of things here. Then we'll hit up our man CJ and get this thing going. What's up, Q? How you doing? Jason says he's got a tournament this weekend. They just changed to allow any level players up to 3 to add to your roster. That's an interesting... Is that sanctioned? That's kind of weird. I don't like that. I know... Oh, gosh. It was in the post I made about what rule would you change. And that was kind of brought up like, I'm not singling Kansas City out or any of the directors or anything else. This is just the example. I'm sure there's other places that do it too. But the Kansas City rules. Kansas City's always got they've always got their own kind of spin or twist on rules for tournaments. Like there's been tournaments where they've allowed, instead of if you're a D team, instead of having 3 C players, you can have 1 B player if you have no C players. Stuff like that. I mean, I guess in theory that makes sense, but like, why create the controversy? Why just what's wrong with the rules? And then there was another instance where a couple of years ago, the national rule was you play D, you hit a home run after you're out. It's an inning out, but Missouri decided to leave it as a DBO. And I don't like that from the aspect of, if you go play a national tournament, if you play on the national level, or say you go to Worlds and you've been playing all year long with DBOs, now all of a sudden it's an IEO. I'll like I said before, I'll always be a proponent of the IEO in those situations, but it's just a consistency of rules across the board. Consistency of rules, consistency of, trying to choose my words wisely here. Consistency of regulations and punishments, let's say. So, example, a team gets caught with a player, in theory, not on their roster. The team gets a 2-month suspension, but you get caught using restitched softballs, altered equipment, you get 6 weeks. How does one player not on a roster, how is that a bigger deal than altered equipment? Tell me that. That's kind of wild to me. There's got to be some sort of checks and balances. You know, if you want to strip them of their win, if the team won the tournament, you want to strip them of their win and suspend them from whatever event they want to play next. Or I guess you can't do that because then they could just not sign up for anything. But suspend them for, a couple of weeks or something, or maybe suspend them from a state tournament or something that for a fact they would play, or you could come up with something other than suspending them for 2 months for one player when altered equipment only gets you 6 weeks. That's just kind of crazy to me. Matthew Clark says, listening on the ride home from winning the ship tonight. Nice job. You hit any dingers, dude? Jason Herndon says he is playing U-Trip, and it's a state director tournament. Oh boy. What's up, Adam? How you doing, buddy? Q says, enjoying the beautiful weather for this time of year. Yeah, dude, it was 83 degrees today. That's BP weather right there. I left for work this morning and I was kind of like, ooh, it's kind of chilly out here. I'm okay with that though. That also means the hard ball is going to fly here pretty soon. Mike wants to know, should slow pitch softball be under one association besides senior, of course? No, I don't mind there being different sanctions, different rules, different ways things work. I don't hate that. I don't hate that theory at all, really. That would be like having one brand of car. Obviously, like, it's on a way bigger level. But variety is good. I wouldn't want to play somewhere where every pitcher can pump fake every pitch height is 6 to 10 feet, and all these other rules and regulations. To me, that's kind of what makes it fun, is the variety a little bit. You can go play U-Trip. U-Trip's so serious, and it's a very fast-paced game, and I understand we're talking slow-pitch softball. Do not misunderstand me. But U-Trip softball in a competitive environment is a fast-pitched game. Fast-paced game compared to ASA, which, man, it can be like watching paint dry sometimes. You know, the pitchers aren't hustling. Everybody has to be set before the next pitch is thrown. The higher arcing pitches, I know it's just little things, but it just adds up. And don't get me wrong, I'll still play and watch it all, but U-Trip is definitely funner to watch. Q says that Mitchell and him were talking on Sunday, and we think they should all rank across the board the same. Yeah, but every sanction's got their own idea of how the rosters and the roster rules should work. I actually like NSA's points system that they use. The only thing I don't like about that is the fact that you come in essentially a C player if you have no player history. That's just kind of crazy. It doesn't seem fair. I mean, for someone trying to start the game, for someone trying to start out, play the game, say NSA is all you have for sanctioned softball around there, an E team would have to start out playing C because I think you start with 4 points. There's no way you could take a team full of players, and it's just crazy to me. It's just crazy to me that to start out you're essentially ranked C. But, you know, I guess it kind of would keep you from sandbagging a little bit. But what's it take? You'd have to play a whole year of getting your crap just pushed in order to drop down a level and play silver, because that just doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't. So I don't agree with that aspect, but I do really like the points system. Instead of having, 7 D players and 3 C players, you go based off of points. So you could have a guy with a bunch of points, and you could have some guys with just a few points. They average your points out over 3 years based on who you've played with. Quentin says that he just doesn't like that a C team in U-Trip Q, did you speak English? I just don't like that a C team in U-Trip and is dominate. Okay, dominant. Okay, I see what you're saying. Sorry. I just don't like that a C team in U-Trip is dominant. Can go play ASA, D, or B player in U-Trip is D and ASA. I get that. I understand where you're coming from. It's kind of weird, like the director could intervene. I guess you could say you could make the case of, hey, they shouldn't be here, but at the same time, those are the rules that have been put in place. When ADL went on their run and won D State 4 years in a row, they could have signed up for a 5th year. They would have been able to play D for a 5th year. After a certain amount of time, you have to come up with like a plus system. There's got to be something. There has to be something. And I understand that ASA has a plus system, but they don't utilize it very well here. Of course, it's kind of the Wild West as well. You're talking about rules that don't fall in line with the national stuff. You can swing U-Trip bats in ASA here. I like it personally, yeah. But if we're going back to consistency across the board, I've spent the whole year playing ASA, and I've been swinging my Suncoast 240 U-Trip bat, whatever. Then I go to nationals. Well, I've got to find an ASA bat now. What if I don't have an ASA bat? Then I have to go and buy a bat for one tournament? Weird concept. Don't quite understand that, but it is what it is. A few more minutes here, and then we'll let CJ file on in. But the big news, bowling update. Bowling league starts in 2 weeks. Should be a good time. Got the right bowling ball in this time. We're going to be all set up, ready for action. But tomorrow night, I'm going to do my damnedest to vlog. I know you guys like the vlogs. I haven't played a whole lot of League this year, and that's by choice. Tournaments have been hard to come by. I really haven't had much of an opportunity to play tournaments, but League just, it's hard for me to play League sometimes. It's not that I don't have fun. I enjoy seeing everybody. I had fun playing League last year, but I don't know. Just something about it just feels redundant sometimes. Unless, and nothing against any of the teams I've ever been on, but if it's the right group of people, like I've been playing League a little bit here and there with Spencer's team. If you're local, you know who Spencer is. Been playing League with Spencer's team. Dude, I always have fun. I'm looking forward to it. Spencer needed a player last week. Went and played, had a blast. Spencer needed a player again tomorrow. Had a blast. And let me pull this up. The challenge has been issued. And it's going down. I can't get that to pull up without that. So here, I'm not even going to let you see the clip. I'm just going to let you listen. I'll pause this music. I'm going to turn this up. I'm just going to let you listen and let you laugh.
That sound told me everything I need to know.
One more.
Was that? He's bumping?
Yeah, definitely. That is a softball bat that will be featured in a video very soon. And I thought it'd be fun to kind of add a twist to things. So we got League coming up. Uh-oh, hang on. We got somebody at the door. So we have a Blink doorbell camera, and I just got a notification that someone's at my door. Oh, it's 9:20 at night. Okay, let me go check on this. I can't get this to load. I'm gonna make sure nobody's at my door. This thing's just tripping. I'm gonna finish my story, and then we're gonna bring CJ on. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, sorry, the music's really loud. I'm sorry. How's that? Okay, I don't know what that was all about. Sorry about that. So anyway, so that bat you heard is the DeMarini Steel. Review will be coming soon, but I thought it'd be kind of fun, little like vlog content, you might say. Because like I don't mind vlogging, but sometimes it's weird to me to just kind of go through the motions with the vlog. If there's a point to the vlog, I feel like it's a lot more appealing. We had that bat. Brian and I reviewed it. And then I got to thinking, like, we've got all these guys coming out tomorrow playing League with a bunch of friends. I said, you know what, screw it, we're doing this. So I sent out a message with the video clip from the sound that you just heard, and basically said, hey, Listen, everybody passes this thing around tomorrow. Whoever has the most hits, $20 bill. It's yours. So that's going to be fun. That's definitely going to make the vlog worth watching. Should be a really good time. Should be plenty of good laughs because we're going to be with a great group too. So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. But with no further ado, let's see if CJ... Oh, he's looking at it. Sent me a message. Says, ready when you are, buddy. Okay, we can deal with that. Let me get my headset out here. Thanks. So let's go here. Okay. Okay, you guys can still hear me good, right? Correct? Is that factual news? Okay. Had to switch some audio things around here. So I want to make sure everything was still good. Call incoming, CJ.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me? Give me 2 seconds here,
Can you hear
CJ. Oh, let's see. There, you can hear me now, can't you? I need output.
Hello.
Done. How about now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, there we
hear
go. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Let's turn this music off. Nobody needs to hear that. Everybody wants to hear the sweet sound of your voice.
That music is probably a lot more sensual than my voice is going to be.
Hey, you know what? It's okay.
Yeah,
If they don't like it, they know where the X button's at. They can click right out of it, right?
absolutely.
Yeah. That's what I like to hear. So listen, thanks for catching up with us. I know you were busy tonight. Said you're on the grind doing the coaching duties, right?
Oh, yeah. My son had his first kid pitch game tonight after doing machine pitch for 2 years. So
Did he hit a dinger?
he did not. He got a couple base hits, and at this age, they're 9U. They're playing up in a 10U league, but it's like a Parks and Rec
Okay.
type thing. It's not very high level for the most part. Just to get their feet wet, so it's good for him. He got a couple hits and a lot of walks, a lot of hit batters. So
Yeah, and the catching always seems to be very lackluster when it comes to that stuff too. I think some of that stuff the kids aren't quite ready for, but they got to learn at some point, right? You might as well rip the Band-Aid.
yeah, they do, and I mean, you'd be surprised how good some of these 8-year-old kids are and how many tournaments that they play in a year.
Oh, it's crazy.
There's a lot of people out there that I personally think are over the top, but I'm sure some people might say that we're a little over the top too. I try not to be, but
Well, I mean, it's all part of the territory. I mean, if the kids want to play a handful of tournaments a year, that's fine. But man, you got people that travel all over the Midwest every weekend. Like, one, how do you afford that? And two, how is that fun to be away from home every weekend?
it's tough. I mean, yeah. I mean, we did one travel tournament this year and probably like 4 others locally, and even just doing that on top of trying to do anything else is rough. I mean,
Sure.
fitting that around soft and trying to fit some softball in that time is just, it gets crazy.
Sure. But I mean, hey, at least I feel like 5 is a good number. It's not like, that's about one a month for the summertime. That's a good balance instead of just living at the ballpark every weekend. I don't know how people afford that. That's the craziest thing to me.
It is. There's a lot of these teams that travel once a month. They're playing 2 other weekends out of the month, and you think you pay for stuff at the concessions, you pay for your hotels, you pay for travel. It adds up quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, we got you here tonight. Okay.
Yes, sir.
We're not going to jump straight to the juicy stuff yet, but Let's start with this is your first year in the conference.
Yeah.
You moved up from won C state last year, got the B bump, and a few of you guys decided to dabble into the conference stuff, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, what separates what you might consider local softball from kind of the conference? Like, what's been the biggest eye opener to you so far?
I think just the level of ball player that you play against every single weekend. You know, you go to, like last year, every tournament we went to, we expected to win.
Sure.
This year, I started with RVCG, and then I moved over to Hub's Pub just recently. And this year, you go into a tournament, and you basically almost know you have no chance of winning it. And so you're kind of really just hoping to go like 3-2, 4-2. Hoping to, you know, beat the teams that are at the B and hopefully the A teams as a B team.
Sure.
And then hopefully break somebody's heart, one of the double A's or the major teams. So it's just a different mindset. You're playing against teams full of dudes instead of teams with a couple dudes on it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I mean, I've always said Brandon Keene, one of my good buddies, hits the ball harder than, you know, anybody I've seen.
Dude, he hits it hard.
Until this year, when, you know, you play teams full of him and guys that hit it even harder.
And that's a crazy thought to fathom as well. It really is.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, he's unreal himself. But yeah, some of these guys out there are just, it's even crazier how fast that ball bounces off their bat.
Yeah. So you've made a little bit of a name for yourself the last couple of years as a pitcher. Obviously, you're kind of a jack of all trades. You can play anywhere. Have you done any pitching in the conference yet so far?
I pitched one inning in Cincinnati when I was with RVCG. We were playing Chick-fil-A,
okay,
their AA team, and they were just on. They couldn't miss. Every single ball that they hit was just absolutely scorched. There was nothing hit soft. There's a video out there. I forget the guy's name. I think it's their 3-hitter, but he didn't cut it. He hit a ball at our shortstop about head high. Knuckled, and it knuckled so badly that he didn't get any glove on it. It just blasted off his knee. Didn't hit the ground. It was unreal. So they were mashing against us. They didn't make any outs, and the outs that they did were rockets. So finally I come in and I pitched one inning. I think I still ended up giving up like 6 runs, but I think it was like 4 solos, a couple hits here and there.
But it happens fast, though. It happens so fast.
It's so fast because, I mean, those guys hit those solos, and it doesn't matter because you get 12 home runs or whatever it is, depending on what level player or what level team you're playing against. So you hit those 4 solos, and it's like, okay, cool, we get 8 more. And with the 240 bats and the Pro M's right now, the balls aren't really going like they would with a 220. So it really doesn't matter if you hit 4 solos in a game.
Sure, yeah, and it's kind of especially in a situation where, kind of like you said, you're not going in there planning to lose, but you kind of have to understand like the writing might be on the wall, right? So for them to have 12 home runs, you're thinking, oh, no big deal, but that's 12 home runs they get to use in a short game. That's not even a full game. So they basically just get to free swing for the whole game, you know?
Exactly. And that's what a lot of the upper teams try to do is they use them all early because they don't think that you can keep up and hit with them the whole time.
Sure.
So they make it get themselves in trouble, you know, the 6th, 7th inning if you do hit with them. But a lot of teams just at the B level don't have the power to match up with those teams, and that's kind of what separates the B from the A to the AA, the AA to the major is just like how many guys in that lineup can blow it out at any point in time.
Sure. So it's like so what I've always said, just from what I've seen, I've never played near that level, but for just outside looking in, what I see is it's not so much. I mean, obviously you're gonna have a skill gap. We're talking major, but I'm thinking anything from like A down to like maybe even your top tier C teams. Like it's the level of consistency like the skill level might be all about the same, but it's the level of consistency. Obviously, when you're getting into like AA and A in major teams, that's a different story. But is that kind of what it's like? I mean, they're just good top to bottom.
Yeah, and that's all it is from B as you go up. The better teams are their guys are more consistent. They know what they do best, and they don't try to do too much. They stick to what they do best. You know, a lot of guys at the lower levels, like they'll be a good pole hitter, but they may be afraid to hit into a double play or something, so they try to force something backside, and that's not their best swing.
Guilty.
Well, yeah, I mean, me too. I've done that for years, just because I personally didn't originally have the confidence to, hey, if I don't hit this right in the spot that I want to, that I'm not going to hit into a double play. But
right.
These guys are like, hey, I hit the hell out of this 6-hole, and go ahead and put your guy there. I'm either going to hit it through him or I'm going to hit it over him. So guys don't try to do too much at that level. And again, I mean, when you can free swing like that and kind of just swing as hard as you can and not have to worry about anything, that helps those bigger guys too.
Oh, absolutely.
And just all of that on top of the consistency of the defense is just it's unreal how good some of these major guys are at defense, and you don't even realize it because usually they're just hitting the hell out of the ball.
Yeah, see, that's one thing, everybody's always saying I could play in the conference, I'm hitting 800 playing C, or this guy's got a ton of pop. Well, that's great, but you got room for about 2 guys, maybe 3 tops that can hit 800 and play first base. You got to have defenders too. I think that's something that kind of gets slept on is the level of defense. Everybody, like when you scroll through any live feed, like you see on Facebook or anywhere else, and everybody's always saying, oh, I could hit the ball coming underhand. Okay, that's fine. You can hit it hard coming underhand. But let's see you go field it.
Right.
I feel like that's the big thing that's also fun to watch too in some of those closer games, or maybe a game where the elements are really a factor, so defense really plays more of a part. I always feel like that's kind of a fun thing to see as well.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you can't hide anybody anywhere.
Sure.
A lot of times, you try to hide a guy at first base. Big hitter, not the best fielder, but it's just first base. Well, you get these huge lefties, like you get Everett Williams and Buddy Wolf and guys like that yanking balls at first baseman. Like, you're just asking those guys that can't field to get themselves hurt.
If they come up and I'm playing first base, you'll find me either on the right field fence or in the dugout waiting on the ball to go by so I can come out.
Exactly. So I mean, and lefties, they just already swing weird already. So pulling the ball at you over there is just already not natural. So
it's interesting for sure. You kind of touched on the bats and the balls a little bit. So this is a kind of a popular, unpopular topic, you might say, kind of a one of both. What's your thoughts on the Pro-Am?
Well, so when the Pro-Am originally first came out, I think it might have been 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
This was when we were still C. We played a GSL tournament in Indiana. This is when we met the Amish. And they're a whole other story in the first place. But
okay, we got to hear that one too then.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, great. I still have nightmares. But no, those dudes are awesome, by the way. But no, we got these, and we go to this tournament. I had never heard of this ball before, and we're just hitting our classic M's in the heat, and they're obviously trash. And we're playing this team that doesn't have a very good record. Like, we should be beating them easy, and we were. But the balls coming off their bats just like sounded so much better than ours. And I finally caught a ball in the air, and I looked at the ball. I'm like, is this a stadium ball? Like, what is this? And when we first were hitting them, it was like 95 degrees out, and it was still sounding like a Classic M in the cold, and it was flying way better than the Classic M's were.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw those and realized that that's what they were going to go to, I'm like, all right, well, this is a solution to the Classic M being crap in the heat, and it's pretty consistent at the night. I don't feel like it got much harder than the Classic M would at night. So I was like, all right, this is going to be a really consistent ball. Well, this year, it's like hitting a sock. Like and I know last year is kind of when the issues started, but like I would honestly rather hit an ASA 52 like a hot dot than hit one of these pro-ams. Like we played ASA co-ed state 2 weekends ago, and I was talking, Brandon Keene played with me too, and we're like, I would rather hit that 52 300 ASA ball with a monster bat than one of these pro-ams with any of these 240 bats.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you just don't get consistency. Like the feedback's not great off the ball. Like it's like a a little baby fart after you hit it. Just like that.
Yeah.
Like it's rough.
So I noticed in the clips that DW posted, I believe it was from the Smoky.
Yeah.
Man, you could tell they sounded soft.
Yes.
But it's hard to tell. Sometimes microphones like don't pick up sound very well, but they sounded soft. But it seemed like the guys that should have been hitting them were still hitting them out. But so I'm interested to know. So have you hit? This is just my curiosity, wondering. So have you hit pro-ams with a 220 bat, and then gone back to the 240? Is it any different?
So this year, I don't know that I've hit a pro-am with a 240 bat. I've hit some 44 400s in a tournament, but I've played less this year than I have since I've been playing softball. So I haven't really swung with a 220 bat. But, I mean, previously, like I said, when they first came out, I hit them with 220 bats, and they felt fine.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know what it is about these balls this year. And I guess there's two different batches. There's like a DV ball, and there's another, like, kind where the one is actually really good.
Oh,
and then the other one's the sock. So they're like, oh, they throw the good balls in for the major guys and yada yada yada.
Jesus, well, here we go.
That's what a lot of people say, but at the same time, again, like those dudes are major for a reason. Those dudes are guys built like Ryan Harvey are gonna hit either ball just as hard, and they're gonna make guys like me look like, I'm just a co-ed all-star.
See, and that's one thing people don't put in perspective sometimes. I'm not going to sit here and say that there may not be some funny business going on to a certain capacity when it comes to players and their equipment at a certain level. But to say that every player is playing some funny business, man, just like you stop and think, like you show up at the ballpark and you stop and think to yourself, like, okay, who's the best player in the ballpark tonight? And you point at that one guy. Well, guess what? Now there's a team with a whole bunch of those one guys on it.
Right.
It's not just, a league team that decided to go sign up and play some tournaments. It's like the best players in the country all getting together to play.
Yeah.
And that's something that, because people, like you said, the 240s don't seem to be as good this year. I've been hearing a lot of people say that, but you still got some guys still hitting them out with ease. Well, look what they were doing with old equipment. Let them swing your bat and they'll do the same thing,
Oh yeah. It's not even, swinging these bats and seeing the way like some of those top guys hit the ball, even when it's a little bit deadened compared to what it's been in the years past, is just, it's scary to think that they were swinging those 220s with, classic M's at 70 degrees and whatever else back in the, like, how many 3-4 years ago. Like, it's scary as a defender and as a pitcher to think how hard some of those balls were going to come back at you.
Well, I know. I remember. Do you remember Al Kinnan? He was from the St. Louis area. I don't know if you ever met him or not.
No, I don't think I do.
He pitched a little bit in the conference, and we ran into him at a tournament one time, a little local tournament, and he was kind of talking about some of that stuff. And he was saying like playing like at the major, using stadium balls. He said there'd be times you would just hear them go by. You couldn't even see them. Like,
oh, I 100% believe that.
Yeah, and that's crazy to think. We're using 220 bats, using a stadium ball, and you got to think about the guys that get 7 or 8 games in a day. They have their bats tested in the morning and then not touched for the rest of the day, and they've been hitting stadium balls all day. And that's not counting guys passing bats around. I mean,
right.
That's a death wish almost.
I mean, again, you just throw it and hope that it, like, you put your glove right in the right spot where it's going. In that case, I don't know. Maybe I don't know enough and haven't been around enough. But I'm not one of those people. I think that they should swing just a regular Pro-Ams in the stadium still, instead of going to them stadium balls. I get that it's almost 400 feet to center field, but
They're hitting them 400 feet any other time.
right, some of those guys, it'll be perfectly fine. And then once nighttime comes around again, the balls are still going to go.
Oh yeah, just
But
like,
I'm also more of a defensive minded person, so
no, and I don't hate that either. Like I'm a big fan of deadened equipment. You might say maybe lesser performing equipment, just to kind of bring the defensive aspect back in the game. And if you're a good hitter, it's not going to matter what you're swinging or what you're hitting. You're going to figure out a way to use it.
exactly. Yeah, you're going to either still be able to hit the home run like some of these guys can, or you're going to figure out how to line off to your gap, hit your holes,
Correct.
I mean, it's if everybody can just get up there and hit a home run, it's too easy. And that's what happens a lot of times. Like you got a lot of guys like my size swinging 220s and these Pro-Ams in the cold and just dropping bombs all the time, and that's just not realistic on how the game should be, especially when some of these massive human beings like Ryan Harvey and John Williams that are just mashing these crappy balls with these crappy bats. So
why give them better equipment?
exactly, it's already not fair that they're so good, and so it's just I like the way it is right now, even as much as it sucks as a hitter. I prefer it the way it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Even watching the game, again, some people don't want to play the games and see 40 runs a game and this and that and carry on. But to see defense involved a little more at that level, I don't hate it.
Yeah, no, I mean I prefer a 20 to 25 run game between each team, and then you get a bit of hitting, bit of defense, and
yeah.
If you can out home run somebody, that obviously will carry you a little bit further.
Instead of being something like the Smoky, where you get games in the 60s and 70s, and don't get me wrong, those are still fun to watch.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, it's just like, okay, this is a little ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was a game on Saturday between Rismondo and Monsta. I think the final score was 47-45.
Oh man!
And we started out watching that game, and like the first two innings, I think Rismondo was up like 17-3, and we're like, all right, well, Rismondo's probably going to walk away with this one. Monsta, they were kind of struggling a little bit at first. Well, then they turned it on. They ended up being up like 34-27 at one point. And then it was a back and forth battle. We kept walking away thinking it was over, and it wasn't. So, but yeah, I mean, that was probably a 2.5 hour game too. I mean,
that's insane.
I love softball, but 2 hour games suck as well. So it's hard to find that happy medium. I think they're in a better spot than they have been in years past with it, though. So,
we were talking about bats earlier with the 240s. Like, one, what's your thoughts on the 240s? And two, what are you gaming?
So I'm swinging the APG 2s.
Okay.
I got two of them. I got a 25 and a 26. I've been swinging the 26 mostly this year. That's that white and red Annie Purcell Louisville slugger. And that's my favorite one so far. I've got some Onyx bat that I won in a raffle that's just absolutely garbage. I just use it for BP, really.
Hey, at least you're honest.
So I don't break my other bats. But my Louisvilles, I think they're still testing at like 260 or 270.
And they're so fun to hit.
And they're still amazing.
Yeah.
Like I broke it in right. I hit them with the cotton balls and whatever else you got to hit them with to not make them break. And I did it the right way. And now I'm kind of BPing them a little bit more just so I can try to get the compression down a little bit. But they're still gas. Like they're so good. I've swung. What else did I swing? I swung the Suncoast. The Suncoast is pretty good. Those feel a little bit more like a Monster from like a feedback wise.
Mm-hmm.
And then
what else? Like a tighter, more responsive kind of barrel.
Yeah,
that's
exactly right. It the Louisville, the ball kind of just jumps right off of it. And and the Suncoast is more like a, I don't know. It is tacky, but I don't know if I would say that. It's just a little bit more feedback than you get off the Louisville, just more feel off hitting the ball. Those are probably my top two right now. Swung a couple Eastons earlier in the year, and those didn't impress me too much. And I swung a Pure here and there. Some people say Pure are really good. I haven't swung them too much, but
Pures are fun.
Yeah. But I'm interested to try that new USSSA Monster bet, because I've always been, I know you hate Monster, but I've always been an ASA Monster fan, and just the feedback that I get off the bat always just feels so comfortable. So I'm interested to try one of those. But yeah. I think the 240 bats are fine. I mean, really it just comes down to how low of compression the bat can get before it breaks. But with these balls, it's hard to tell if the 240 bats make a difference or if it's just the crappy batch of balls that they got going right now.
True. Yeah, I guess that's more what I was going with. That question I asked earlier was, when I asked you if you'd hit the proms, the 220 was, do you think it's more the bat or the ball? It sounds like it might be a combo of both if we're starting the theory of batches with the balls. I hadn't heard that, but I hadn't heard it from a reliable source yet. Yeah,
that's kind of what I've been seeing as well. And then you kind of get out there and you hit a ball that you're like, all right, I hit that good. It's a line drive, should carry over the second baseman, and it just stops right at him. It doesn't rise up or do anything. It's like, well, that sucks.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to hit my my Louisvilles with like some classic M's or something different, just to try to see if there's a true difference.
Yeah, I will tell you, the Louisvilles are fun in the cold. I swung the Jenny, I guess we would call it. I swung the Jenny in a tournament. It was about 40 degrees one day, and man, that good feedback got even better.
Oh yeah, it just bounces off, and it's almost like the barrel like gets harder, like an old Easton that's passing at like 160.
Yeah,
and that's what it feels like. Obviously, it's not hitting like one of those would hit, but it's got that feel where it's just like you almost feel nothing when you barrel the ball up.
Yeah, the feedback instills confidence. You want to hit it,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So one question here, and then we're gonna get into story time. Fat Guy BP wants to know what hitter scares you the most on the infield. Like, what's that one guy that he comes to the plate and you're like, God, please hit it somewhere else?
Well, so I played MPT earlier in the year. I'm trying to think of all the upper teams that I played. MPT played. Well, we just played Smash It.
Mm-hmm.
Probably John Williams. I mean, it's John Williams and Harvey. I mean, those guys, like Harvey, luckily, like when we played them, they were waxing us. So like he purposely stayed out of the middle. And he is not really a big middle hitter anyway.
No.
But it's probably John Williams, just because he hits more of those like low, head high line drives than Harvey does, and he's just such a massive human being. Like,
he is a large human.
He's big on those videos, but when you see him in person, like, he is huge. And what you wouldn't realize about him is he's an incredible athlete. He's an amazing third baseman. He's got so much range. His hands are incredible. He's got a really good arm too.
He truly is fun to watch. I mean, everybody kind of sleeps on him because he's a big guy, but like you said, he's dang near as big as Harvey as far as like height and shoulder width and everything goes. But for him to be able to move the way he does at his size, it's impressive. Like you said, he's a phenomenal athlete. He gloves it well. He throws it well. And I would probably, just from what I see where I watch, like Williams would have to be up there as far as like my guy that like I don't want him hitting at me, because he will go wherever he wants, whenever he wants. He don't care if his grandma's on the mound. He's hitting it wherever he feels like it, and you don't know when it's coming, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yep.
So I'd say that's,
you can do, and he lets. It's those guys that like let the ball get so deep on him, where like you're like, all right, he might not even swing, and then it's just like, bam, right off your head. Like,
yeah,
it's wild. And I mean, I say that, I don't mean to. I know he's hit a couple people in the head this year. I know.
Yeah.
I know he's probably tried to, but but yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like you see those guys that pitch to these major players every single weekend, and they're not even able to react because of how hard like the guys hitting the ball. It's impressive and it's scary.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you were kind of talking about that just a second ago, and that's one thing. Like as a pitcher, even at the level that I play at, those guys that let the ball get in so far on them, that's another reason it's hard to read where they're going to hit the ball.
Yeah.
You literally have no clue. Like you were talking about, not to beat the dead horse, but when he hit Brad Record in the head with that swing, dude, that pitch was inside, and like you said, it was almost on top of him before he decided to hit it.
Yeah.
And he can still manage to get it to even just go back through the middle. You could tell it was going to tail into the gap, which is even more crazy to think about. But the guys that can strike the ball like that are just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not fair, and they're up where they're at for that obvious reason. So
yeah, no question about that.
And it's weird. Like there's a couple of other guys. It's like you see them hit the ball, and initially it's like, all right, I've seen a guy hit that ball that hard before, and then once it gets like through the infield, it like takes off to another speed almost. It like it doesn't slow down ever.
God.
So it's wild.
No thanks.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you pick which story you telling first. We got to hear about the Amish, and then we got to hear about the big victory over the weekend.
I'll start with the Amish. Just
Okay.
Because they're incredible. So that Indianapolis tournament we were playing in, we go down and we kind of heard about them a little bit, but they didn't have very much U-Trip history. Like they had only played like 8 games that year. I think they were like 7-1 or something.
Oh man.
Like their scores weren't all that impressive. So it's like, all right, well, what? Like, are they hitting these crappy Classic M's in the heat, or what's going on? Well, this is when we got a hold of those Pro-Ams, and so they ended up losing their first game of the day, and they had to come all the way back through the loser bracket. I think they had played 6 games straight before they got to us in the championship, and they had to double dip us. They whooped our ass. It wasn't even funny. Like the first game we played them, it was kind of going back and forth, and then they just took off. I think they short gamed us in either 4 or 5 innings. I think it was like, I don't know, maybe 35-20, 40-20. I don't know what it was. So we're like, well, damn, we weren't expecting that. We're like, these guys are supposed to be tired after playing as much as they did.
They don't wear down.
They don't. Well, they're 20 and 21 years old. They're just ripping cigs in the dugout between at bats.
Yeah, that's kind of wild to see too.
And, you go out and you try to joke with them, and they're just like locked in, game face, don't have nothing to say to you.
Yeah.
After the game, like we spoke to him before, and I've talked to him plenty of times since then, just being like, hey, remember that time you guys whooped our ass? And, just talking to them, they're cool as hell. But in the game, they got one thing on their mind. So then we get to the second game, and we're winning, and we're going back and forth again. And the scores, it's like we scored 35 runs. They haven't used any of their home run, or they haven't used all of their home runs. So you got 5 home runs and a DHH.
Okay.
They didn't use all their home runs, and they short gamed us in 5 innings.
What?
And we scored 35 runs.
Oh my God! They didn't use all their home runs?
No, and it wasn't the 10 after 5. They were playing the B because it was a BC tournament. So
Okay.
It was 15 after 5. We scored about 35 runs, and they still short gamed us.
Wow, that's nuts.
Didn't even use all their home runs. Like, yeah, their home run hitter probably hit like 4 of them in his, I don't know, 27 at bats that game. But yeah, I've never understand how you score 35 runs in a game and get short game.
So is this this is now known as Rock Run, correct?
Yeah, it's known as Rock Run. It's not all the same guys.
Uh-huh.
Like, this makes it even worse. They had a couple pickups from like another Amish D team.
Oh no!
And they still did this to us.
You're just building a case against yourself here. That's all you're doing right now.
I know. It's just telling you how great these guys are. I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's probably like 5 or 6 still from that team, and a few others. I don't know, from other teams or where, but it's majority. It's all their homegrown guys. They're all B rated. None of them are A chips or You know, they don't have any hired guns on their team. It's all
Sure.
Amish guys that they go and work. They take BP and they all play league together, and they've been doing it for their whole life. So
Yeah, and it's
it's
impressive to see too. I remember seeing, and I think it's happened a few other times at a few other tournaments. I remember watching them play at the Smoky. There were teams playing them with a 4-man outfield just to keep them from hitting gaps. That's
Yeah.
you never see a defense set up against a team like that. But they are so worried about that team hitting gaps. It's like, no, we're just giving them a 4-man. We're not even going to give them a chance.
Yeah, because the only chance you have is to try to keep them to a single because they're all so fast. They don't take anything for granted. Like they'll hit a line drive single right to the left fielder, and they're trying to get to 2. Whereas a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is a line drive. He's going to catch it. I'm not going to be able to get there." They're like, "No, I'm going to get there, and if you don't charge it hard, or if you bobble it, I got a double." They do not care.
Yeah, I remember seeing. I don't remember who they were playing. It was a pop fly to like the shallow, very shallow outfield. I mean, to the point it was still an infielder's ball. Dude hit it a mile high, and the guy when he hit the second he hit it, it was a left-handed batter. The second he hit it, he just ran. He was halfway to third base before the ball came down, and I don't know if the wind caught the ball or if it knuckled or what happened. The infielder ended up missing the ball, and he's standing on third base.
Yeah.
Before you
They
can even
take
do anything
nothing.
about it, he's standing on third base.
They take nothing for granted. They're going hard, no matter what. And they play the game the way it should be played. Honestly,
Yeah, it's fun to watch. It really is.
it is. And they get wild up. They get hyped during those games. But once the game's over, they'll talk to you. They're super chill, and they're some pretty cool dudes.
I'll be they're B again. They're B this year, right? Correct?
They are. Yep.
Yeah.
They'll be the number 1 seed at B World. So
I was getting ready to say
Well,
that'll be fun to watch them go to B Worlds.
yeah, we'll hopefully get out there, give them a run for their money. Because at that Kansas City major that they won before I was on Hub's Pub, they beat Hubs. They walked them off in the first championship game. It was a really good game. So hopefully we'll get another shot at them at B Worlds.
Yeah,
in the
that'd be cool.
championship or something there.
So what we're all here for, and I know I did the typical YouTuber thing. I made everybody sit through this whole podcast before.
Nobody would have wanted to listen to what I had to say if you didn't.
Yeah, right. We need them to know what you have to say before we make them listen to the story. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's paint the picture. It's what Saturday night. No,
Yeah.
Friday. Is it Friday or Saturday? I think it was Friday.
It was
maybe
Friday. It was Friday.
Yeah, Friday night. You're going into this game against a major team, one of the best teams in the country. What are you thinking to yourself?
Well, generally when you go into any of these games as a B team, you're kind of just like, well, keep it close, try to go 7. Going 7 is an accomplishment a lot of times, in that situation.
Sure.
So that's kind of like our initial thought when, you see, all right, you win this game, you play smash it. It's like, all right, well, probably don't have a shot there, but make it respectable.
Yeah.
Get run some points up and try not to get short game basically. But so once we kind of get to that Friday night, it was, I think, kind of like every element went in our favor. And I say that because Smash It played, I think they ended up getting 3rd place in the first duel. So they played a lot more games than we did.
Mm-hmm.
Played a lot more on that Friday than we did because they were, I don't know if they were in the losers bracket for a little while. So I don't know how many games they played, but they played. So they got done, I don't know, around 2 or 3-ish, and they sat around for a little while. Well, the field that we were supposed to be on to play them is where the championship of the first duel was being played, and MPT ended up double dipping Rismondo, so that game didn't get over till way, way, way late. We were supposed to play at 8 o'clock. I don't think the if game got over till like 10 o'clock on that field.
Oh, wow.
So what they made us do, instead of making us wait, since we were playing Smash It and they were out, Siteman was supposed to play MPT on another field, but they had to wait for MPT to get done, so they swapped us fields. So it kind of helped that, like, I think Smash It was a little bit not ready to play and kind of annoyed that they made them switch because, I don't know, they just weren't prepared for that.
Sure.
So that field change, I think, kind of threw them off, on top of not having as much of a break as they thought they would. So that kind of, I think, threw them off from the get-go. And then I don't know if this. I don't think the wind. Okay, so this was one of the fields that the wind was blowing in just a little bit compared to the other ones too. So that helped us out a little bit. But yeah, I mean it's a beautiful night. Probably 75 degrees. About 8 o'clock that game started, and they're still tired from their games. They've got a lot of their backups in to start the game at least, and I think it was one of those where they're just kind of hoping, hey, let's get through this, get some swings to get loose again, get back in the rhythm, and we jumped out on them, and took a good lead. I think it was in the third. I think we were up like 15-5.
Oh wow! I knew you got up big early, but I didn't realize it was 15-5 in the third. That's you just came out and hit him in the mouth then.
We did. Yeah, we came out. I think we only put up 4 in the first too, so it wasn't like we had one huge inning.
Right.
So I mean, we came out and we're just like, all right, we're waiting for them to get theirs, and they just didn't do it to start out at least. But we let them hang around. We had a couple 1, 2, 3 innings or innings that we didn't score in the middle there, and let them kind of kept chipping away. Like I said, that power that they have, like, just kind of goes unmatched.
Mm-hmm.
But still, they were just off. There was something. It was so weird. After I think the third inning, I was talking to our first base coach. I'm like, this is our game to win. Like, if we're ever gonna do this, it's right now.
So you guys kind of knew the blood was in the. You could smell the blood in the water then.
Yeah, I mean, we knew this was probably our only shot because we were one. It's one of those situations where, like, you don't wake a sleeping giant, and we weren't. Like, we were just playing the game. We weren't saying nothing. We weren't talking trash or nothing. Like, we're just like, all right, if you guys want to keep just walking through this, like, we're gonna let you, and just hope that you don't wake up eventually.
Right.
So I mean, we get down to that, and we get to, I think it was the 7th inning, and we had, like I said, we scored 15 runs the first 3 innings. We only scored like 6 after that until the 7th, and or was it? Yeah, until the 7th. So bottom of the 6th comes around. I think we're up 1 run. I think it's like 21-20, maybe, and they come in and they put up 3 runs on a couple home runs, and so we're down 23-21 in the top of the 7th. So yeah, we come in, put up a good 6 right there. We had some guys that kind of struggled earlier in that game that came through, and that was huge. So I mean, we put that 6 up, and we're like, all right, we had a 4-run lead, bottom of the 7th. And I'm playing left field. I'm an infielder. I'm just like, we had a couple of our outfielders missing, so I'm just out in left field. I'm like, well, this is the time to do it. Like, just hold them like we've been doing it all game. Don't do anything different. And credit to Mitch. He pitched his ass off. He's having an awesome year, by the way. But so we start out, AJ Webb.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know him or not.
Yeah.
He played with New Breed years back, and I can almost guarantee you're going to see these videos because DW came over to our field and started recording like he does for his condensed games and all that, because he was like, he knew it was close, and he was like, this could be big if they pull this off. So like, he was over there, and I think it was Ben Dunn might have been up, and first out of the inning, he hits a missile, like head high, right over Mitch, that carries into center field, and AJ comes in as hard as he can, low line drive, just full, like, parallel to the ground layout, and picks it up about 6 inches off the ground.
Ooh.
For the first out of the inning. which was huge. And I've seen him make that catch a bunch of times before, so I wasn't surprised, but it was just in the moment so big. So next batter, I want to say it's what's his name? He was playing first base for him. I can't think of his name. But he comes up, almost not the same thing, but he hits the ball in the right center field gap. Everybody off the bat's like, oh, this is a double or a triple. So AJ again goes and gets it. He's about 2 feet away from the fence and just snatches it on the warning track. Another just amazing catch. Like, incredible. I'm standing in left field like, there ain't nothing I can do to help him, but
cheer him on.
I had a nice, I had a nice vision of it. So we had 2 outs right off the bat. So I'm just like, oh my God, like, we're going to win this game. Like, we got this. This is the only time that it's going to happen. And I forget who came up next. I think it was Ryan McClanahan, which we didn't get him out all game. I think he was like 6 for 6 or 7 for 7.
Dude, he's good. He's underrated
good
too.
He's obviously amazing defensively, but hitting wise, he's definitely underrated there. He's a very good hitter. He hits all fields, and somebody I'd like to try to emulate, obviously. So he comes up and he was money. He hit the 4-hole like it was nobody's business. Like, it was just way too easy. And I think he walked the next guy. And so it's 2 outs, man on first and second. So we're not really worried about anything. It's the pitcher spot come up. Jonas was pitching for him, and who had been pinch hit for before, and he doesn't have a whole lot of power. A lot of them pitchers up there are really good pitchers, but they get pinch hit for a lot. They're just not there to be hitters. So they pinch hit Purcell for him, and Purcell, obviously he's one of the best pitchers of all time. Used to be one of the long haul bombers that just hit bombs all the time, but he's not really that guy anymore at the plate.
Still very crafty in his age.
Oh, it's super crafty. I mean, just a veteran hitter that can hit any hole he wants to hit. And so we're like, all right, well, he's probably not going to hit a home run here, and even if he does, we're still up 1. So I'm still not super nervous. So Mitch gets a strike on him and makes another really good pitch right after, and he hits a hits a chopper. Like, our first baseman came way off the first baseline, hits a chopper. First baseman dove for it, caught it, but as he caught, like, he kind of like stuck when he hit the ground, and his glove like stuck under him.
Oh.
And he couldn't get the ball out of his glove to get the out at second base. And so, like, you could see in the video, like, everybody's got their hands on their head. They're like, no, like, that was our shot. We had it. And we're like, the next person on deck who's batting is Mr. $500,000 himself, Josh Riley.
Literally, this guy, I was telling my wife earlier, I told her I was going to have you on the podcast tonight and kind of explaining the magnitude of this situation. Let me just kind of paint the picture for you. For those that are like kind of unfamiliar, CJ was not exaggerating. This man got cut a $500,000 check. Granted, this is over a course of years, but dude, this man's job is to hit. It's not to go play a lockdown shortstop. It's not even to play lockdown first base. Listen, guy, we don't care if you want to catch. If you just want to sit around, just as long as you're hitting 850 every weekend, we do not care. Like, that is your job, is to hit. They call him a professional hitter, and that's literally what he is. Just to kind of paint the picture of who is getting ready to step in the box.
Yeah, and I think he won the overall season MVP last year. He's won major World Series MVPs. Pretty sure he's leading the conference in home runs, if not close. So he comes up, and Andrew Collins is behind him, and he's had a really good game against us too. He's a really good player.
Yeah, Collins is clutch too.
Yeah, and he had a couple home runs against us too. So I'm like, that was our shot. Like, there's no way that Josh Riley's missing this ball here. Like, I'm playing left field. Like I said, I'm an infielder, and I'm expecting either a bomb over my head that I just stand up and wave at, or a nasty-ass knuckleball that I'm going to have to try to catch with my teeth or do whatever I need to do to hold on.
Anything.
So I'm like I said, we had our hands on our head, like, no, like we had it. So then we're just there and down and ready. Mitch pump faked, I don't know, 5 or 6 times on him because obviously you got to throw something
You
just
have
nasty. And I see the swing and I see the just chopper in the ground ball on the very first pitch right to the shortstop. And I just start running in and just like kind of jump in, like just hoping it's like, get the out. And they made it and we just all went crazy. It was unbelievable. Like I at least expected like just a missile at one of the infielders or a missile somewhere. But Mitch just got a huge miss, like the biggest miss that I've ever seen situation wise. And I mean, we were freaking pumped. They were not. But to their credit,
They were not. I love how you say they were not.
to their credit, like I know a lot of times, like in that situation, like the upper team, and I've been on my team. Players on my team have been like this before too, back with New Breed and stuff. But like, if you lose to one of them lower teams, you kind of like get an attitude with them or like get mad at them, like they're not supposed to try their hardest to beat you. But they, you know, they were super classy. They were all really cool and just walked through the line, you know, congratulated us on playing a good game. Like they're obviously mad at themselves because they didn't play anywhere near their potential.
Sure.
But no, they were all really cool, and we were all obviously super pumped, but not like over the top rubbing it in anybody's face. So
Not at least till you got back to the dugout anyway.
Right. Yeah. But that was, yeah, I mean, that was something that I never would have expected to happen. And just, I mean, it goes to show you, like, that's what we were talking about. It's like, this is why you play the game, is because at the end of the day, you got to make the outs, you got to get hits, and, you know, the other team still has to beat you. It doesn't matter who they are, how great they are, how much money they're getting paid. They still have to play the game better than you. And anybody can beat anybody on any given day. So as cliche as that is.
No, it's 100% true though. It's like my son, you know, when it comes to whether it's baseball or football or whatever else, it's, you know, he'll say, I don't even know why they're playing the game, or so-and-so's going to win. Like, man, listen, you never know.
Yeah.
You literally never know what might happen. And it's not even like a lopsided matchup. Like, it's not like you guys are a bad B team. You're a great B team, but it's just, that would be like a double or a single A team beating an MLB team. You know, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about. But like you said, that's why you play the game. And I can't even imagine being on the field, sitting there wondering, like you said, you know, it's just, do you wave bye to it or do you just take a bite out of it so it doesn't hit the ground? Yeah. Josh Riley at the plate. And I would be curious to know when the last time he missed a ball that bad was.
Yeah, I don't know. I know he I think hit a one hopper to our shortstop earlier in the game, but that was a missile too. So I mean, even his misses are hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean that was the last thing I expected to come off of the bat at that pitch, but it's just one of those things that, like I said, I never would have anticipated happening, and I was, like you said, I was glad my son was there to see it.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
He was like, we just beat a major team. Like because he asks a lot of questions. He knows like a lot about. He asks every team that we play, "Are you guys A? Are you double A?" Like bro, awesome. It doesn't matter. Like we're just gonna play them and try to beat them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was nice because for, like you said, it's like my son will be playing baseball games against like the first place team in his division. They're like, oh, we don't have a chance to beat them. Well, yeah, you do. Like,
yeah, go play the game and see.
Exactly. And yeah, it's just, yeah, like I said, it's something I never thought would have happened, but it was just so awesome. It's still kind of hard to believe.
That'll be definitely one that like you won't forget. Like if somebody's like, what is one of your favorite memories? That's got to be one of them, right?
Oh yeah, I mean that's the biggest win like I've ever been a part of. I mean, it doesn't matter like state championships, like we won couple like real big tournaments in my history, but I mean still nothing. It doesn't matter. Nothing's gonna ever amount to that from a softball standpoint, at least.
So you mentioned that they were playing some of their bench players just to get the game started. Like, at what point did like you see kind of their demeanor change and like the panic set in that like, hey, we got to go here? Like, at what point did they kind of like get the fire lit under their ass?
It's probably like that like fourth, fifth inning ish area where they did start to come back a little bit. The guys that they were playing still like start for them on a consistent basis, like at least 50% of the time. But they had Josh Riley out in right field instead of Andrew Collins, Andrew Collins is a great outfielder. Josh Riley he's a good outfielder, but he's just there to hit.
Correct.
And I think the rest of their defense was their normal. Well, maybe not their middle infielder, but I know he plays a lot too. But it's just kind of like once they pinch hit for Jonas the first time, it was like, all right.
They're
they
sweating.
put in his name's Tyler Story, which I don't know if you heard about that guy.
Uh-huh.
He's only 24. And he just found him. They found him on either a B or a C team. And now he's just come up and he's like rookie of the year as a major player.
That's awesome.
The kid is just unbelievable to watch. But yeah, they had him pinch hit, and I think he ended up batting twice in one inning, their big inning. So it was kind of around then. It was like, all right, like they're making their run. We have to try to like combat this and just keep adding on to our score because they're gonna score. And luckily they didn't.
Yeah, it was that was awesome. I remember I think Brian texted me and told me that you guys had beat them, and then I saw the clips starting to kind of float around a little bit. That dude, it's awesome. Like that's a win for the ages, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I think the only other B team to beat a major team this year, I think, is the Amish Rock Run. And they're like 3-2 against major teams.
Yeah, as I said, they beat more than one.
Yeah, they beat, I think, Resi. I don't know if they beat Resi twice. I know they beat MPT, and they beat Smash It last year at least. So they might, other than this win that we just got, I think they might be the only one in like at least the past 2 years that has upset a major team. So just for it to be that rare and that, infrequent makes it all the better too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, people say, oh, well, what'd you do after that? Or how far did you make it in the tournament? Yada, yada, yada. It's like, you got to put into perspective, like the type of tournament you're playing and the competition you're playing and just the simple fact that may never happen again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You may never get matched up against a major team for the rest of the season. It may, it's how the cookie could crumble. But the fact that I hate that argument, like, what'd you do for the rest of the tournament? Like, it doesn't matter what we did for the rest of the tournament. That's not the point we're trying to make here. The point we're trying to make is you got the opportunity and you capitalized on it.
Exactly. And, yeah, I mean, overall, like, I think they still ended up finishing higher than us in the tournament. But it's just like, yeah, that experience is just something that most likely will never happen again to you,
Right.
So, but, yeah, it was awesome. Still can't believe it.
Yeah, so one last question, and we're going to let you go. So I meant to ask you this earlier before we get started on story time. So who's the one player that you've seen play in person that you feel like nobody's talking about, conference-wise?
Well, right now, I mean, and people are starting to talk about him because he's gotten a few offers to do some really cool things, but it's Mitch Carragher. He pitches for Hubs Pub. Played on New Breed a few years back, but he's having an unbelievable year. I mean, first of all, like just his pitching and like how he controls the game defensively. He's got one of the best gloves as a pitcher that I've ever seen. He just controls the mound. He controls the strike zone. He controls the pace of the game. That's probably my favorite. I've seen him pitch a decent number of times. That's my favorite thing about watching him pitch is he controls the pace of the game. It's not the umpire's game. It's not the other team's game. He controls the pace of the game, and that's a big thing. That's what I really like about watching him pitch. It's his field. And he's letting you play on it. He does, and I mean he does fake some, but he's not over the top with it. He's not, in my opinion, super deceptive with his fakes. What makes him great is not about his fakes. It's just how he'll throw a ball and it looks like it's going over and then it just falls off the table right into the strike zone.
Mm-hmm.
Or like it looks like it's going right for the outside corner and then falls off the table right to the front of the plate when guys are already committed to swinging.
Sure.
So just that from that aspect, it's just he's tough to hit, and anything that he can reach, he's going to catch. It doesn't matter how hard you hit it. It doesn't matter if you hit it to the opposite side of his glove side. He does some Spider-Man shit and reaches behind his body and still catches it. I ask him all the time, like, how do you do that? Because, I mean, I'm a pretty good defensive fielding pitcher, and there's balls that he catches that I don't even come close to. So, yeah, him, I mean, and that's just defensively, but offensively, he's outstanding this year. He's batting, I think he's probably still around there, but up until this past weekend, he's batting 800 on the year. He's got like 22 home runs, batting second in the lineup for Hub's Pub, and just squaring up every single ball, hitting it backside, pulling it out for a home run, cutting it down the line to keep it in. Like he can hit it.
Somebody was sharing some clips of him earlier. Where did I see it at? Because I'm not friends with him on Facebook, but I saw it somewhere. I mean, he was just putting on a
Rob probably shared it.
Okay, so he was just putting on a clinic at the dish, just showing some of his swings. Like, man, so he's pitching it and he's hitting it.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, he's the best hitter on our team too. Like, he's just putting the team on his back. Honestly, I ended up getting moved to the leadoff right in front of him this past weekend, and I kept only getting singles in front of him, and he hits the ball. He hits the ball so hard, and he can pull it down that first base line like nobody's business. And I'm just like fearing for my life every single time. And I'm like, I better start getting some more doubles, or I'm gonna die. Just because he's so locked in. It's very impressive to watch.
Well, that's cool. That's I was curious to know who you would think. That's definitely got to be one. He's if you're a local, I mean, he's been on the radar as one of the better players around here for a while.
Yeah,
you can't knock that. So
he has, and he's, in my opinion, he's taking that next step to get to that next level. Because like I said earlier, it's like you get these pitchers that they're really good pitchers, but they get pinch hit for all the time because they can't hit. Well, you get him and in there hitting. I mean, I'm not going to say he has as much power as like Travis Clark or anything like that, but I mean,
he can hold his own.
Exactly, he can hold his own. He's going to hit his home runs, and he's probably going to spray the field a little bit more. But yeah, he's going to earn a spot up there. Probably next year. If he didn't, I would be extremely surprised if he wasn't on a Double-A or a major team next year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Be pretty cool
so
to see.
That's my dude.
You taking over mound duties if he makes the move?
I don't know. I don't know what the plan is.
Chuck and duck. That's the plan.
that's right. I got my goalie pads and big old chest protector on out there. But no, I mean, like I said, I played left field this past weekend, and I haven't played left field since probably 2018. So. Whatever the team needs me to do is what I'm going to do. So
yeah, being versatile is something. Excuse me. I know we talked earlier about just being a hitter. Being versatile defensively is something too. Don't just be the shortstop. Don't just be the right fielder. Be somebody that can be put anywhere.
Exactly. Be put anywhere. That way, like the team is struggling somewhere, doesn't have somebody this weekend, you can go fill that spot. And as long as you keep hitting, like you're going to help the team. And I've had a pretty solid year, nothing like Mitch, but I've been real consistent this year.
You're still working it around well. I've been watching.
Yeah, I've been more consistent this year than I was last year for sure. So it's been real nice. I feel real comfortable at the plate now. So
no better way to be.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, man, we appreciate you coming in and blabbing and telling stories, and we always shoot for an hour on these shows, and we've hit an hour in 24 minutes, and I don't even care.
Yeah.
But
I know,
listen,
I looked down, and it was like an hour. I was like, oh, well, shit.
Yeah,
Oops.
Here we go.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, man, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. I'm going to let you go, and we'll close up here with the podcast. Everybody say bye to CJ. Thanks for stopping in, and we'll do it again, buddy.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me on, and, hopefully we go win a B Worlds here soon.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch.
Absolutely, buddy.
See you, man.
Oh, one last thing. Free Sonic.
Yes. Bye.
All right. All right, buddy.
Love it. The free Sonic. I love the quick jab there. Got to get that in. But that was really cool. I really enjoyed this podcast. CJ is really an open book. I really like the fact that he'll tell you whatever, whenever. He's going to tell you how it is. He's just a very genuine person. So for him to come on and tell his story and kind of let us pick his brain a little bit, I thought that was really cool. So hopefully he'll go down and make some noise at B Worlds with his little squad, and we can ask him about that too. But until then, what we're going to do is we're going to shut it down now. We're going to come back next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central. Be sure to stay tuned to the BP Hero review channel. Got some good content coming very soon on that as well. Thanks for stopping in and checking this out, whether it be YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Sweetheart, in case you hit it, BP Hero. Catch you next time.